to catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. On this edition of the program, Nigeria's female sensation wins invitational tourney. Coming in from the world of Formula 1, Max Verstappen back to the top of the podium. And in football, Rangers International and Eyimba International encounter end on a stalemate. Details of these and many more will be yours when we return from the break. Stay with us.
From the line across
telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
Here on Atlantic Television Network, and I have with me Mike this hour.
Yeah, good morning, sir, and good morning to our viewers out there.
Of course, we'll get started as usual from the local scene where the number of Team Nigeria athletes for the upcoming Olympic Games continue to soar as the Temitope additional secure ticket for the Games. This is getting very cheering, Mike. Competing at the famous NCCA Championship in the United States of America, Nigerian youngster additional set a Nigerian national record of 1.97 meters in the women's high jump. And this is good enough to see her at the Olympic Games.
Yeah, I think it was an impressive display from Adesina. Despite setting the national record at 1.97 seconds, she was still able to come third. But then that also gave her the ticket for the Paris Olympic.
1.97, that's almost 2 meters.
Yes. I think for me it was an impressive one, but then like I said, it was just good enough to finish in third position. But that is no worry because courtesy of that display, she has also gained her ticket down to Paris Olympic game, which is an impressive one for us here.
Addition going to the first Olympic Games, and we hope that she will definitely be at the podium at the Olympic Games, going by her level of qualification for the Olympic Games. Away from that, two Nigerian women's weightlifters, Rafiatu Falashade and Lawal, and of course Joy Obona Eze, have qualified for the Paris Olympic Games as well. These in their weight classes after the International Weightlifting Federation recently ratified their qualification. Rafitu Lawal in the women's 59 kg and Joy Eze is competing in the women's 71 kg. Two of them are two of the top 10 slots in their weight division based on the classification of the International Weightlifting Federation. It can't get any better. I want to see more of our weightlifters, join the party or Team Nigeria going to Paris.
Sure, an impressive one. The National Assembly a few days ago also had to summon the sport minister to ask him or query him about the preparation of a Nigerian contingent for the Paris Olympic game, which for me I think was an impressive one, because they stated it very clear that they want to see Team Nigeria replicating the same form that we saw in the Atlanta 1996 Olympic game out there, where we did exploit to the world. And then I think ever since then we haven't been able to make any serious mark in terms of the Olympic game out there. So for me, I think the number of Nigerians getting qualification to the Paris Olympic game is very, very encouraging. And I hope that when the Olympic game officially kicks off, they are going to continue on this an impressive ride, because when they do, it definitely means that we are going to come back home smiling, because when you have large number of contingent, then the chances of Nigeria winning multiple medals out there is very, very wide. But when you have a slim contingent, it means that you have limited your chances of winning medals out there. I think for me, it is an impressive one, seeing the number of Nigerian athletes having also picked one or two tickets to make it through to the Paris Olympic game. I think it's quite encouraging.
Encouraging for Nigerian weightlifters to be part of the party going to Olympic Games. There are supposed to be preparations in Paris for 2 weeks ahead of the Games, and that again too will further condition these athletes that are going to the Olympic Games.
Yeah, early preparation is key. Proper preparation is also key towards ensuring that you finish very strong, or you possibly go out there and compete favorably well, which is one of the key that the sport minister have also been hammering. He has been working around with different chairmen and sport ministries as well, to ensure that there is proper preparation, proper planning, adequate arrangement for some of the athletes out here, most of the contingents, which for me I think is very, very key. Because if you truly want to go to the Paris Olympic game and compete favorably with others out there, then you must prepare properly for what lies ahead. If you don't prepare, then it means invariably you have also prepared to fail, if you don't prepare to also be successful. So for me, early preparation is key to making a very good impact out there in the Paris Olympic Games.
Key to just say excellent performances is early preparation, and I think that's what Team Nigeria is doing with an imminent 2 weeks of camping in Paris. I think it will help to condition these athletes for what we expect at the Olympic Games proper in Paris. Let's go to badminton, and talking about badminton this hour. The Badminton Federation of Nigeria, only on Friday in Lagos, organized a special dinner to send for the country's #1 badminton star, Anukuluwapo Upoyori, who is set to intensify training in Italy ahead of the Paris Olympic Games. Athletes going to the Olympic Games are getting a lot of attention this hour.
Yeah, which is very key. I think for me, it is way long coming, because when you see some of these athletes doing pretty well, you need to give them the necessary support, necessary preparation. When you honor the athlete with this kind of a massive preparation and send-off, it gives them that ginger. It makes them double their effort. Of course, I know Luapo has also conquered, the shores of Africa.
She's 4-time champions in Africa.
Yes, and she has also picked, the ticket for the Paris Olympic game, making it twice consecutively that she has, done this very well, which is a very, very massive achievement. I think for me, they are beginning to pay attention to the welfare, to the need to cater for some of our athletes. You know, unlike what we used to see in time past when we just, treat our athletes with levity out there. It is only when they go out there and make a mark that is when we begin to celebrate them. But preparing a route towards such major competition, no much attention is often given to them, which is very, very bad. And so I think they've been able to learn their lesson, and that is why they deem it necessary to also support and encourage, most of our athletes to start preparation in earnest, because doing so would definitely mean that they are going to start in a very good position to compete favorably well with others. And when they come back, with honor and glory, it is also to the, praise of the ministry as well, which for me, I think is a good way to go.
Good way to go is what the Badminton Federation of Nigeria under Francis Obi is doing, because Okoyori now has 3 weeks of training tour to Italy ahead of the Olympic Games.
Yeah. Massive exposure out there, because when you have about 3 weeks tour before the proper Olympic Games kicks off, it enables this athlete to gain access to some of the top-notch facilities out there to train with. Get that exposure as well is very, very important, because you don't also hope to go out there in a bigger stage and perform favorably well, because some of them who have not also been at the international scene before maybe may say they are novice and all of that, but then when they get this opportunity to get exposed with some of the top-notch facilities, it put them on a a better position when the Olympic Games kicks off officially, to go out there without any fear coming in from any opponent. It helped them to express themselves very well, because they've gotten access to much more improved facility, which for me I think is key.
Well, let's quickly stay away from that and go to golf this hour. Nigeria rising golf star George Obo has secured 2 coveted exemptions into the Ladies Professional Golf Association. And this is coming good because the female performances in golf in Nigeria has been a little bit of a slack one, but now we're beginning to get females get attention in golf.
I think I'm very, very elated when I heard of this news, because just like you say, when you talk about the female, golfers, it looks as though not much attention is being paid to them. But I think for me, this one is a nice one. Let's hope that they continue to build on this and see the need to also improve female golfers out there. And for me, looking at the quality of this kid, I had to go back, watch some of her clips, watch some of her game. I tell you, if proper attention and care is given to her, she might probably become the doyen of golf here in the country. Not just here in the country, but in Africa, because she's taking her game notch higher compared to what we see in the past. So for me, I think it is also need for the golf federation as well to deem it necessary to start organizing, possibly maybe annually or monthly competition for especially the female golfers, so that they can also be carried along in the annal of event in terms of female golfers here in the country.
Watch out for Obo in the Dog Championship, and you will see her, because she's beginning to step into much stronger level of golfing in the professional cadre. Like we mentioned earlier, female participation in golf in Nigeria has not gotten the kind of attention you expect, but having a Nigerian young star, participate in the LPGA tour is quite a big one, and it looks like the sky might just not be their limit, but our beginning.
Yeah, definitely. Only if she keep her eyes on the ball and continue to focus ahead, I don't see anything stopping her. Looking at her impressive display and achievement, as she's still very young, there's still time for her to also improve on her game, which is for me I think is very, very key. If she continue to remain dedicated and show that resilience and needs to also improve, I tell you, nothing is going to stop her.
Nothing is going to stop Bobo as she steps out into the international scene, taking part in the LPGA tour. We hope she will keep her head down and continue to make exploits in international golf. Talking about golf reminds me of the legendary man himself. He is looking like beginning to take off his eyes from the golfing. Tiger Woods, everybody knows him to be synonymous to golf, but it looks like his swan song is here.
Yeah, I think he's gradually winding down. I mean, looking at the record, the history of what he has achieved in the world of golf, you can't actually, talk about golf without mentioning the name Tiger Woods, who also have done the world good, especially for golf lovers out there. You can't forget that name in a hurry. Tiger Woods. I think for me it has been an impressive history for him. Now it looks as though he's trying to wind down the curtain, and that is why there has not been much that is heard of him in the last few months. But then I think what a way to finish a cause that he has started, a cause that also brought him fame and popularity all across the globe. I think he has paid his dues. If it is time for him to call it a quit, I believe the world of golf is going to miss him a lot.
The world of golf is expected to miss Tiger Woods because it looks like he's beginning to wind down on his career. And maybe we'll just get to basketball now before we get to tennis and maybe take a break. Basketball, the biggest news in basketball this hour is the second game that was concluded a few hours ago in the NBA. Of course, you know it's the best of 7 series. The finals is on between Dallas Mavericks and, of course, Boston Celtics. 2 games down the road of the 7, and it is the team from Celtic that is gotten the 2 of 2 so far played in the finals of this year's NBA. Mike, Dallas Mavericks has shown quality, qualifying for the final, but it looks like Celtic from the West is in commanding lead. The next game comes up in the next few days. But first, let's look at the match that was played in the early hours of this morning. 105 to 98 points for Dallas Mavericks.
I actually kept my eyes on that very game because of the intensity. The build-up to that game was very massive. And also taking a look at the two teams, how far they have come so far this season in the NBA. You want to say, yes, this is the best of the team that you see left that went to the final. Of course, you expected fireworks, but then both teams did not leave the fans disappointed because everything that you needed to see came into play in the slamming and dunking game. But then I think the quality that was displayed by Boston Celtics clearly tells you of their rich history. For a certain Maverick, they only depend on 2 players, which has always been their problem. If I look at Doncic doesn't step up, or even Ivan doesn't step up, which is the 2 major point guard are there, it looks as though Dallas Mavericks struggles a lot. Despite the impressive numbers put in by Luka Doncic, who also put up as much as 30 points and
32 points, 11 rebounds and 11 assists. That was quite a massive figure, yet it was on the losing side.
That is to tell you that they depend solely on 1 or 2 players, which I have mentioned earlier. They got about 82 points or thereabouts, 89 points if I'm not mistaken. Then take away 31 points scored by 1 man. If like other 2 players had also stepped up their game to score maybe 25 points, you know what that could mean. And that is why I say it's not always advising to tie your hope and confidence on 2 players, because if anything happened to 1 of those players, it means as though the team will be capitulated, which for me I think is not a good one. But then taking a look at the display of Boston Celtics, you may want to say yes, they are bidding to also topple LA Lakers, who is also tied in the same trophy with them, 17-17. If Boston Celtics get this one over against Dallas Mavericks, it means that they have toppled LA Lakers to make it 18. So for me, I think it is game on. There's still much to play, but then can Dallas Mavericks come back very strong and overturn this deficit? It still remains a question that their coach needs to answer.
Dallas Mavericks have to dig deep. On Wednesday is the next fixture, and if they don't get it, it will be 3 in favor of Boston Celtic. And Celtic, they are really cruising Holiday, having some good time as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Drew Holiday.
Yeah, having some good time as well. You listened to his interview shortly after that, he came. He was very, very excited, and he said that he can't wait for the second leg of the final.
He put in as many as 26 points, 6 rebounds and 3 assists in this fixture. And he was one of the players with the high figures in the encounter that resulted to 105 for his side.
Definitely. I think this Boston Celtic side, there is a golfing class when you talk about Boston Celtic and Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks has not been that traditional team, in the NBA. Like I mentioned earlier, if you talk about the traditional team, you can't, forget to mention this certain Boston Celtic and Los Angeles Lakers, who has also created rich history for themselves out there. So for me, I think what a way to go. Most important thing is that this Boston Celtic team, they don't just depend on one or two players. They play like a unit. You needed to watch that game. It was more of massive attack, massive defense that was deployed by the coach out there. The coach never, sat down throughout the, the duration of the game. He was there, dishing out instruction, giving them pep talk. And I think for me, which was very key towards their victory in the first leg.
2 of the 7 matches have so far been played, and 2-0 in favor of Celtic. Both Celtic with the exciting players are looking good in this one, but Dallas Mavericks could have an idea in the next 48 hours that could see them maybe reduce the deficit to 2-1, but we'll keep our fingers crossed on it and do follow for you all that will happen in the NBA Finals for 2024. And away from basketball now, let's quickly go to tennis. And talking about tennis, the third Grand Slam of the year is come and gone. The French Open has been won for the male by the man from, the little man from Spain. Carlos Alcaraz has won the French Open title. A lot of people thought it was going to be very difficult, but he did it in 5 sets for nearly 5 hours, about 4 hours, 20 minutes. They were on the court, himself and Alexander Zverev were on the court, and it turned out to be one which produced exciting games. Like I said, 5 sets, and 2 of them went toe-to-toe.
Yeah. I think it was an impressive display from Carlos Alcaraz. He started in a very good footing in the first set, but in the second set, I think he lost the second set.
6-3, he won the first set 6-3.
Yes.
His second set went 2-6 in favor of Alexander Zverev, and we
Third
saw
set, he
lost again 5-7,
yeah.
and he dug deep in the fourth set 6-1, and in the fifth set, so to say, he dug even better with a 6-2 win over the man from Xerxes.
It was more like a back and forth, the display out there. It clearly tells you the quality of what the final brought out there, where 2 of those players were able to go toe-to-toe against each other. Most of them had to dig deep, especially Carlos Alcaraz, to be able to nick this one on the board, because heading into the game, looking at the form of Alexander Zverev, you may want to say yes, he was favored for the final, but then looking at how inconsistent that Carlos Alcaraz has been, that most time when you expect him to deliver on the mandate on the big stage, he doesn't live up to that high. But then I think he was able to prove so many bookmakers wrong yesterday by also trying to also improve on his game to get the better of Alexander Zverev, which for me I think is a massive leap for him. Definitely, you'll be rest assured that when the ranking is released this week, he's going to move up, probably up the ladder, because he's seated 3rd right now. Followed by, closely following Jannik Sinner on the 2nd position, which for me, I think Novak Djokovic.
No matter what happens.
Yes, no matter what happens, Jannik Sinner has catapulted himself to world #1. So what it means right now is Novak Djokovic is going to drop down to world #2. When the ranking is released, then we begin to talk about whether Carlos Alcaraz is going to depose Novak Djokovic in the 2nd position. But one thing is very key, that the trophy is very, very important for Carlos Alcaraz. 2,000 points as well is at stake, and over 2-point-something million pounds. I think for me is very, very huge for Carlos Alcaraz. Let's hope that he continues to maintain this form right now that he has gotten himself to the limelight again. Because if he does, then I assure you, then maybe other players will also begin to, give him that respect, and that fear factor will come back for him.
Carlos Alcaraz started playing tennis at the age of 5, and now he's 21-year-old, and at 21, winning, he becomes the youngest tennis player, the very youngest tennis player to winning all on the 3 surfaces of tennis. He's won, of course, you remember in 2022 he won the US Open, and of course he won the Wimbledon. Now he's won the French Open. He's 3 times winner of the Grand Slam, and all these 3 surfaces are different. We have the clay, we have the grass, and of course the hard court. He's the youngest player at the age of 21 to winning on all 3 surfaces. His mentor, Rafa Nadal, held that record because he did win at the age of 22. But now at 21. Only a few days ago, we saw him celebrate his 21st birthday, and now he becomes the youngest to winning on all of these 3 surfaces. That looks like a very remarkable achievement for Carlos Alcaraz, the man who has just won his 3rd Grand Slam.
Very big achievement for him, etching his name on the annals of history of becoming the youngest player to win these 3 major. I think for me it was very, very impressive. One that is very, very laudable for the feat that he has also achieved. And another thing is about him gaining mastery over all of this court, whether it is in the clay, whether it is in the grass. He's gaining mastery over all these courts, which for me it is an advantage for him, because there are some players that is good in the clay and they are not good on the grass out there. But for him, he's gaining mastery in all of these, courts.
Surfaces.
Yes, which is very, very key towards also helping him to improve and even lay hand on more titles in future time to come.
In the Open era, we've seen only 8 players. Yes, only 8 players winning on all 3 surfaces. Big names like Mark Villander, of course. Remember Andre Agassi. You remember Novak Djokovic only recently, and Rafael Nadal himself, the master of the clay court. And like I mentioned to you, there is Jimmy Connors as well, the man from the United States of America.
Yeah.
These are players who have won on the 3 surfaces, now being joined as number 8 in the entire history of the Open era for winning on all 3 surfaces. But let's look at the man he beat in the final. This is the 2nd time that Alexander Zverev will be losing in a final. It's looking like he might just be 3rd time lucky, but he has to keep trying. He put in his very best. According to him, in the last time he lost at the US Open, in 2020, he gave away the match. But in this instance, like we mentioned in the result there, it was front and back. Carlos win the first. He will win the second.
Yeah.
The third will go the way of Carlos.
Yeah.
He will win the fourth. But 4th and 5th went in the way of Carlos Alcaraz. But according to Alexander Zverev, he did everything possible. But Carlos was just in his best form. Do you agree with him that it was the quality of Carlos that gave it to him and not his own sloppy play?
For me, I think it's about his own sloppy play out there, because, like we said earlier,
He crumbled in the last set.
Yes, which for me very disappointing. Carlos Alcaraz took the lead in the first set. In second set, Alexander Zverev came up very, very strong. Won the second set, even won the 3rd set in a row. So at that point, I thought maybe he was going to hold on to it and continue to improve. But he allowed complacency to set in the 4th set. That is why Carlos Alcaraz came back very, very strong and drew level and making it 2-2 before it went to the 5th set, where they were able to battle it out. So for me, I think it's not all about the quality of Carlos Alcaraz. I just think that he did not fix his eyes on the ball, especially when he took the lead in the 2nd and 3rd set. I expected him in the 4th set to continue to fight hard to be able to finish the work, but it wasn't to be. But then again, I think maybe next time he need to try much harder and also put his eyes on the ball to ensure that he come out very in top in that way. But I tell you, it has been an impressive ride for him, getting to the final against some of the big names out there that was posted out earlier in the competition. I mean, before the start of the competition, so many persons maybe give it to Novak Djokovic, Yannick Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz. He wasn't even the direct favorite coming into this one, but then he was able to find his way to the final. I think for me, it's a massive achievement, but then achievement without having the substance to show for it, I think it's not good enough. You need to try hard come next time.
Well, something interesting. Yeah, you must say Zverev did his very best, but for me, it is the staying power, the strength of Carlos that gave him this one. If you remember, in the semi-final, he did a 5-set.
Yeah.
To qualify.
Yeah.
And now another 5-set. In the entire history of the French Open, no one who won via or went into 5 sets has ever won the French Open because of the very tiring nature of going through 5 sets. But Carlos Alcaraz has broken history now. He's the first person to play 5 sets in the semi-final, and of course another 5 set and winning in the very final.
Impressive record for him because playing the 5 sets it's also
very tiring. Nearly 5 hours. In fact, in these 2 games, he's put up nearly 10 hours.
Yeah,
it was 4 hours and some fraction of minutes in the semi-final, and another 4 hours and nearly 20 minutes plus in the very final.
It is always energy sapping, but then he was able to push through. I think his young age as well also helped him, because if he were to be a much more older player, say 37, 36, I don't think such player would have been able to stand the heat of the long hour played out there. But then, despite that, Carlos Alcaraz was still able to hold on very strong and, create this record for him out there, which I think is going to stand the test of time for a quite long time. Having seen other players to come and break this record, it would take a whole lot of time, because going to the 5 sets in your first time and the second time in the same competition, it is not always an easy one. Like I said earlier, it is always energy sapping, and you need to stay focused before you can be able to come out top in that very one, which is what Carlos Alcaraz did. An impressive feat for him.
Impressive feat for Carlos Alcaraz, a man from Spain, just 21 years of age, winning 3 Grand Slam in about 3 years or so. Effectively, he has been playing top level tennis. If you watch on the back of his neck, you will see a tattoo there. This time around, he said he wants to have yet another tattoo on his left ankle, given that he's gotten one on the right ankle. What about Carlos Alcaraz and tattoo? If he wins 24 Grand Slams, or like we've seen, I'm sure all over his body will be tattooed about his Grand Slam just won. He will be getting the 31 in the next few days.
Yeah, I think maybe his back will have enough space to accommodate
more Grand Slams.
Most of those tattoos, if he get to win more Grand Slam.
Well, that will be it for this half of the show. We'll definitely be back after a very short break. When we return, we'll take a more look at tennis at the French Open, because Iga Swiatek has continued to maintain her form as the #1 female tennis player in the world. Beyond that, there is football. Rangers International and Imba International of Aba were in action at the Cathedral last night, and it didn't turn out well. Why? When we return from the break.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honourable
You human trafficker.
Honourable
You're a human
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
No agreement with the EU, but
from the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains. Through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
Sports talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and interesting fixtures so far from basketball, and of course looking at Nigerians' participation in Olympic Games, more qualifiers, especially in weightlifting. Quite a lot on the show this hour, but now we'll continue with tennis. We told you how Carlos Alcaraz has won his third Grand Slam of the year, and we look at the female version. Iga Swiatek, the world #1 in female tennis. Iga Swiatek from Poland continue to show why she's the queen of the French Open. She's won a third consecutive time now at the French Open and won 4 there of her overall 5th. But I'm interested in how she did win this one 6-2, 6-1 in just 68 minutes. Mike, it looks very interesting for a 23-year-old. Are you saying Paulini was not a tough opponent for her to do that in straight sets in just 68 minutes?
Yeah, Paulini wasn't just a match for Iga Swiatek, who have maintained her form, her consistency over the past couple of months. It was an imperious display, a show of glitz and glamour from Iga Swiatek to also, sound a note of warning to those who might be thinking of pursuing her closely, because she has dominated that #1 for a quite long time, courtesy of her consistency and her form. So for me, I think it was a clinical display from Iga Swiatek. Paulini was I say big congratulations to Iga Swiatek.
Talking about consistency for Iga Swiatek at the French Open, looks very interesting because 21 matches has been won by her consistently in a row at the French Open. It doesn't come easy for you to win 21 consecutive matches at the French Open. She's really, really the queen of the French Open.
Yeah, that is what it means right now. 21 undefeated so far. It is not a mean feat. It is not a fluke. She has been able to show that, over the last period of 9 months, especially when she gets into any competition out there, and she finds it difficult to drop a point, to drop a set. That is another thing she has going for her. That is to tell you that indeed she knows what she's doing. She's not ready to, step down on her game. She continues to improve her game day in, day out, and that is why, she continues to maintain that consistency, which for me is key toward you winning any major trophy. If you are not consistent, I tell you, you are going to find it so hard, to win any major trophy. When you take a look at the likes of Ojogba, consistency has been the bane of her game. When you expect her to live up to the expectation, she doesn't just, live up to that billing. It takes consistency, dedication, before you can be able to hit the world #1 and also win a trophy for yourself. If you are not consistent, then possibly you need to forget about, catching up with the world #1 or even world #2.
Talking about consistency on the part of Iga Swiatek, the female from Poland at the French Open. She has played 37 career matches at the French Open. And wait for it, she's won 35 of those matches. That's an incredible record.
Best massive one for her. Total of 85 games played, winning 65 again. It's another impressive record. 37 games, played, 35 wins. Just dropped only 2 set which for me it is an impressive one. She continued to set up record that will be very, very difficult to be shattered or broken in the near future by any players out there. And take a look at her young age as well. You may want to say it is another advantage. Looking at the way she's going, then we rest assured that she would definitely have a whole lot of trophy into her own kitty before she call it quits in the WTA.
Well, talking about Iga Swiatek, the world #1 in female tennis, she has never lost in Paris since 2021. So 4 years down the road, or 3 years down the road, she's continuing to win at the French Open. No wonder she says she loves to go back. She's always waiting for the French Open. She's not lost since 2021 out there. But above all, Mike, expectedly today, the world rankings will be released. She will be #1, no doubt. But she'll be #1 by over 3,000 points to the next #2 on the rankings.
And it's a big worry. That is why I said
over 3,000 points.
That is why I said earlier that it's going to take any player, a tough time, maybe a long while before they can be able to catch up with Iga Swiatek. Only if injury do not set in. Then again, only if she did not get pregnant, because that is another thing that always hampers, some of these players. But once she get pregnant, they go for maternity leave, coming back, try to pick up the broken pieces, is always very, very difficult. But I tell you, aside of these 2 things that I'm possibly looking at, is going to hamper her continuous stay as a world #1. Maybe getting pregnant or major injuries.
Talking about getting pregnant reminds me of Naomi Osaka. Naomi Osaka almost took her out in the very first round, or the second round of this French Open. But she too, one player who we know could go places, but because of going through maternity, of course, she's female, so she will want to raise her family, and so it's expected that you win one and lose the other, and that's what happened. But I'm sure they always will bounce back. We'll have to wrap up on tennis, but we'll let you know that Coco Gauff may not have won the singles, but she was a doubles winner with Katrina Serenakova at the French Open as well. Now, let's quickly stay away from tennis and go to football. And talking about football reminds me that it's just about 3 more games to the end of the season here in Nigeria. Maybe just before we do football, we might just wrap it up with Formula 1. But just before then, I was just telling you about 3 games to the end of the Premier League here in Nigeria. But something worrisome happened last night at the Cathedral. That's the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium in Enugu, where Rangers International was at home to Enyimba International. A very crunch time. If this match has ended in favor of Rangers, Rangers will be pulled a little bit ahead of Enyimba International. But Enyimba got it right. This match went into 90 minutes plus 8 minutes of added time. In the 5th minute of the added time, Rangers International was given a penalty. I hope we can get an incident of that penalty. I think that's what you see on your screen there. Rangers was going towards the box, and it looks as if he was tripped. But that looks to me a little bit that, was it enough for a penalty? But the referee gave that penalty call in the 85th minute, 3 minutes or 5 minutes into added time of 8. And it caused a lot of mayhem. You can see there was encroachment on the pitch. Rangers players were calm, but Enyimba were jostling with the referees. They were pushing, and by extension, the crowd came onto the pitch. From what you can see there, that looks to me like a soft call, but it is the referee's decision. And you can see the referee running there. Mike, what do you take? Do you think this was a very soft call, or it was meant to maybe assist the Rangers International image?
I think for me, I had taken time to watch that video, watch the replay over and over again, and I tell you, it wasn't a soft call. It was a clear penalty because the striker was in a vantage position to score that goal, and the defender had to pull him back. He had to pull him down. So there was a clear contact. It was a clear penalty, which for me, I think the referee was in total control of that game. But the Enyimba players walking out of staging a walkout at that point in time, I think
that was just not enough. Before the walkout, if you can see, if we can have the video back again, you see where they were jostling with the match officials,
yeah.
the assistant referee.
Happen if you remember one of Enyimba's game where it was an end time. I mean, the time has finished and they had to award Enyimba a penalty that wasn't a penalty. The opponent, they did not cry foul cry, neither did they go attack the match officials. I think for me it was very, very unprofessional of the Enyimba players out there, despite maybe we want to say that it is always very, very painful conceding a penalty at the nick of time where you have worked tirelessly for your own. It's always very, very painful. Show that level of professionalism. I think for me, I'm very, very disappointed with Enyimba.
What does this mean to viewers and, of course, to the business community as well? This match was on TV, yeah. And it looks to me like bad advertisement for Nigerian professional Premier League football.
Very bad one. Despite you know, the media stunt, despite the publicity that went before this game. In fact, everything actually went as planned, and this is what we love to see back in the Nigerian Premier Football League. If you take a look at the build-up towards this game, you want to say yes, the media of both teams actually did an impressive work by making sure, you know, they publicized it. I put across to a friend yesterday at Enugu. He was telling me that even if you come to Enugu State for the first time, you get to any restaurant to eat there, you are going to receive a flyer of the match yesterday because it was an Oriental derby. There is something that would definitely tell you that something is about happening. And take a look at the massive crowd as well that turned out yesterday in this very game.
Nearly 40,000 persons were inside of that Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium yesterday to watch this game, and of course being followed live as well. But the encroachment, you can see a lot of fans on the pitch there. That encroachment looks to me like very bad advertisement for Nigerian football.
Very bad one. I tell you, according to a report, there are some persons as well out there that went out there, maybe like more like a gangsters or hoodlum, to begin to snatch people's phone and devices, which for me, I think is quite disappointing. Not a good marketing strategy for the NPFL. I think this one is a very, very bad one. I believe that the NPFL is going to issue their statement in less than 24 hours against Enyimba and maybe possibly Enugu Rangers.
The rules, what does the rule say here? If you encroach or if you walk out of the pitch, the referee was on the pitch for 10 minutes, and after 10 minutes you had liberty to call off the game, and which he did. It means that if you follow the rule books, Rangers International will be awarded 3 points and 3 goals.
Simple. It's simple as that. Walking out of a game, I mean, there's no two ways about it. The rules is very clear. 3 points and 3 goals to Enugu Rangers. There's no debate about that very one.
No debate about it. Rangers International looks a bit, in the cruising seat to winning the league, and if they get the 3 points and 3 goals, they further pushing him down. Let's see. We can. There's some results of matches that were played yesterday at the Adokia Messi Stadium here in Port Harcourt. We saw Rivers United dig deep to winning their opponents by 1-0. They beat 3 Shooting Stars of Ibadan by 1-0 yesterday. That goal, you know, came at the nick of time for them to have all 3 points and a respite.
I think it's an impressive one for Rivers United, despite their poor form in the last few games they have played. But I think they are also trying hard to see if they can be able to finish in a very respectable position in the league, which for me is very, very key. Though it may say that the result wasn't that convincing, but what matters at this point in time is that they were able to get all 3 points, which is very, very important into helping them to finish very, very strong in the league so far this season.
Well, the Rivers United continue to push and see. The gap between the teams are not too wide, and so if you win your next 3 games, you could have a respectable position. Maybe get close to returning to the continent. After all, 4 teams will be going to the continent at the end of the day.
Yeah, but can Rivers United continue to maintain this form? Maybe possibly finish off their last 3 games in a very good way. It's going to be a very nice one because they will definitely finish in a within the continental spot. Now that they have been knocked out of the President Federations Cup, I think their hope of passing through that route to the continent is dashed as it stands right now. I think the only hope for them is to win their remaining games and see if they can finish within continental spot out there.
Sunshine Stars beat Aqua United by 3 on-reply goals. Is Aqua United threatened by relegation?
Yeah, definitely being threatened by relegation. I think for me, it would be bad if they go on relegation because that is the only Aqua Cross team that is still left, in the NPFL. The likes of Rovers of Calabar, Anatega Warrior, the rest of them have gone to relegation. I think it's only Aqua United that is hoisting the flag of the Aqua Cross team out, and it will be very, very poor and very disappointing if they go to relegation.
Well, we'll bring you more details of what happened at the weekend in the Nigerian Professional Football League. Like we told you, is March 36. With just 3 games to go. We saw ugly scenes last night at the Cathedral in Enugu. More will come on that and of results of other matches that were being played in the league yesterday. We'll have to begin to wrap up the program, and just before we get to a very ugly incident that happened at the weekend, first, Mike, it looks like Max Verstappen will find his way back to winning the Canadian Grand Prix.
Yeah, impressive one for him, making it a 6th win out of 9 races so far. Though it wasn't an easy one, as it actually went down to the wire. About 5 drivers as well that yesterday's game went 2-2 against Max Verstappen, but then he was able to keep his cool and came out top in that very one. Let's hope that he continue in this impressive ride, because we've seen about 3 races being hampered. Is that cost of brake issue and all of that? But then I think he was able to find his way back again into winning ways. Last
weekend was a sad one for followers of football here in Nigeria, because the coach of Bayelsa Queens, Domo Okara, passed on after what they call a slump. That was really shocking, and at this point in time, we lost someone at just the age of 47. Domo Okara, I know him so well here in Port Harcourt, but he moved on to become coach. He's a continental coach, if you allow me to use that word. Yeah. And now he's no more.
Yeah, I think you are correct when you say he's a continental coach, because he has taken this team to the continental level. I think for me it's quite disappointing. When I learned of the news yesterday, I think I wasn't actually happy at all. But we say may God grant the family the fortitude to bear this unrepairable loss.
Well, our hearts are with the family of Domo Okara at this point in time, and like he said there, we hope the good Lord will accept his soul. It's really, really sad, and we'll commiserate with the people of Bayelsa State as well. And that will be it for this edition of Sports Talk. We'll be back at 6 p.m. Like I said, our focus will be on the result of matches played in the Nigerian Professional Football League, and of course our preparation begins as well about the Euro Championship.